Dynamite Download.
Dynamite Download, your home for all positive coverage with all elite wrestling.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
This reality, like, it is me. Like,
who let this guy in here?
This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
I'm saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down, like, wrestling like he does.
I said, Mariah May. She said, who?
Because I'm so driven, and I'm so moved to like what I want to do.
Versus Brian Keith match.
It's awesome. Oh, it's so cool. You got like these creepy ass dudes.
Oldest ride, longest line.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
I never say never about anything.
Yeah. Back to do an interview with those guys. You know why? Because they spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
What? Uh-oh.
That was weird. I don't know. I think that was a glitch or something. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Oh, okay. A glitch. Welcome, everybody. Dynamite Download, episode 119. 119 episodes we're rocking through. Ironically, 19 my favorite number, so it's going to be a great episode tonight. So thank you for joining us, folks. If you've been following along all week, we've had a busy week here at Dynamite Download. Saturday night was our draft. Friday night, Mind Runner. Had an awesome, excellent interview on our channel. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely check it out. Some great stuff on that. And a 3-hour block of AEW television that we got to have last night on TV. So a lot of stuff going on. 2 title changes, the works. We're going to dive into all that as well, man. But how you feeling, Mind Runner?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited. You know, the draft kicked off. Had a fantastic chat with Emily May Heller. Who she is the hostess with the mostest. She's the lead commentator for Mission Pro Wrestling. She's also all over the place. She is one of the most versatile media folks. Definitely check her out. Follow her on X and Instagram. She's fantastic. Big friend of the show. Big friend of Mission Pro Wrestling. She's awesome. The draft was fun. I don't know whose team is good out of the 7 teams. I don't know whose team's going to come out on top. I know the SBD, you still feel confident, but you know,
SPD is the reigning and defending champion, but after week 1, since we don't have an official Rampage on Friday and Collision, so our 3 hours, let's show up the most recent up-to-date standings that we got here in our draft. And for those of you, you know, checking your TVs, your phones, you see a 8th team. You know, we only drafted 7 teams.
Yes, that's weird that there's an 8th team that's on here. I wonder what that's all about. That's kind of weird that there is an 8th team.
Oh,
there's that sound again. What's going on? I don't know.
I don't know. Is that me or you?
Soundboard and make sure that there's but look, we got a shout out. By the way, shout outs in the chat. We've got Full Tilt Deb, the goddess of them all. We've got, of course, Raz is in the house. Always good to see fam. And Brent Ross, Brent going into Rampage and Dynamite, Brent
number 1 overall pick.
He had the most possible points to win, but not everything went his way. And that's the frustration of this draft is you might go in with the most potential points, and for whatever reason, like that time when what was it? It was a time limit draw between, was it FTR and I can't remember who it was. It was a Blackpool Combat Club, and FTR had the time limit draw, and so no points were earned.
I know I could have got even more points to extend my victory of season 1 of SED's victory. But Courtney, which, you know, honestly, the coveted spot in the draft, I do think is that last pick of the first round. So you are double dipping. You're doing back-to-back draft picks, and so that's where you can really get some nice consistency in your teams, tag teams, and things like that. So if you didn't watch our draft, it was Courtney was picking 7th, Brent was picking first overall, going to, of course, one of our all-time favorites here, DD, Thunder Rosa.
I thought that was great, and we definitely want to talk about that particular match because with Thunder Rosa, Deonna Purrazzo versus Toni Storm, and Toni Storm 2.0 as they're booking Mariah May. Definitely something.
Before we dive into Dynamite, I want to briefly just run through the teams as we saw. So this was the first overall pick team here. We'll just run through. We'll throw up on the graphics here. So we got that one for the first overall pick. Definitely women heavy for Brent. And then second overall pick was, who was it? I can't remember. Was it
second overall pick was you?
Oh yeah,
yeah. No,
I should remember. Here's SPD's team. So taking Okada second overall, and then Adam Copeland 2 title changes. So gold is going over, continuing. So that makes it 7 members of my 12 now have gold on their shoulders. You're looking at the UK plus the Bowl Club gold, and now the 2 there. So 7. Wow. I didn't even realize that. And so
that's quite the championship team there, SPD.
It is. I mean, I already have gold on my shoulders, so I'm just adding to my team there. And third overall was
that was Full Tilt Deb, wasn't it?
Full Tilt Deb right here is third overall right here. So her first overall pick was not Billy Gunn, but her first overall pick was, I think, Moxley. It was Moxley or Swerve, one of those.
Yeah, she went John Moxley. In fact, I think I have it right. The old notes here somewhere.
Yeah.
She went Mox, Swerve, Pack.
Okay. 3 great picks. I really do love her team. And Mind Runner picking right after the Goddess there. So with his first overall pick, he took, who did you take first overall? I'm looking at this. Dax.
I went Dax Harwood, and I came on the loop. I came back and got my buddy Cash. So I'm counting on FTR. Top guys to bring me the points this season. I feel like they're going to do it. I really feel like we're going to have some great moments. And I think don't sleep. Anything, as we learned last season, anything could happen. I was top dog for so many weeks.
Mm-hmm. You were.
All it takes is one night, and anything can happen.
I think Crayfish was after Mind Runner. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep,
he took my guy, by God, Will Ospreay, and then with another pick, Brian Danielson. So definitely an SPD-esque type of team there, kicking things off. 3 of my favorites: Ospreay, Danielson, and Kenny Omega. As well. I mean, he's got a great some of SPD's favorites for sure.
And he stole Sky Blue from me. My favorite female wrestler.
Hold on. Talk about stealing. Let's go back to this here. So I know everyone's coming for the champ here. So we're looking at a lot of ex-SPD teammates. I mean,
that's true.
You're talking 1, 2 right there in House of Black. Darius. I don't know if I have Darius. I think I did have Darius on the expansion draft. I had Willow. I had Jackson. I had
Matt Jackson.
Cash. I had Matthew. Excuse me.
Matthew Jackson. I had Nicholas.
But I still had a Jackson. So this is almost SPD Junior Team 2.0.
Well, hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
That's right.
I'm
going to find you guys. I'm going to find you for that.
Don't call me Bill Belichick. I'm not copying anybody's playbook, but I'm definitely. But I was surprised how long I was able to keep Orange Cassidy, and then I think it was Bobby after Crayfish.
Yep, I showed Bobby's already. Oh wait, I don't know if I did or not, but wait, Crayfish. Let me show Bobby's before we go back to Courtney's.
Yep, Bobby has a and definitely one of those things is I think with Bobby's picks, he definitely picked some of his fan favorites.
And some grinders.
I think the Daniel Garcia, Kyle O'Reilly picks are great. Brian Keith's fantastic. Queen Aminata's crushing it. I just hope she gets some more AEW victories. She's crushing it on Ring of Honor. There's a lot of great talent there. And then the last person to round out the 7 that we had.
My graphics here.
Yeah, Courtney was and who would have thought Courtney, Courtney had, at the time of Dynamite's airing,
where the heck
Courtney only really had one person.
There we are.
She only had one person that was scheduled to wrestle and ended up pulling out 3 points. She had the victory with Julia Hart with the tag team for the big brawl there with Willow and Statlander.
Excellent.
But then the surprise Shibata match.
Yep, surprise for sure.
And then the Alpha Takeshita coming in and doing one of those victories there.
And so, I mean, Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. But Courtney was able to really pull it off, and that was fantastic. And I thought it was great. And congratulations. But I am curious why there was 8
Yeah,
names.
who's Brian?
That's right. The leftover taker, number 8. After we had our draft, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Cervantes, a.k.a. Mr. Mission Pro, the Mission Pro owner, Brian jumped in and he took the list of the leftover members, the leftover talent, and he is now number 8. Now, although he didn't get any points this past show, this is an apple cart of upset apples that can happen at any time. I really like. I mean, all Athena jumping over to AEW from ROH. It's got potential. Nick Wayne. You've got Red Velvet, Kill Switch, Jay Lethal. You've got so much talent right here. So anything can happen.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited for season 2. It makes just watching the show more exciting. I'm more invested. Not that I'm not invested in any other match, but like I'm even more invested in just rooting for who's on Team SPD, so I can get more points and be the reigning and defending champion. So it's a lot of fun to be doing this. So thank you all for watching and contributing and being a part of season 2. Brent, Courtney, Bobby, Crayfish, Mindrunner, FTD, and Brian, all of y'all. So it's going to be a fun few months leading up to Double or Nothing. But speaking of leading up to Double or Nothing, live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, we had quite the stacked card for Dynamite, plus a right off the bat Rampage. 2 title matches, 2 title changes, and a lot of great storylines developing in here. I think it was an outstanding show, top to bottom. Interested to see where certain things go, but I'm happy though overall with the way this laid out. And Mercedes Moné has already been featured in Spotlight a ton, which is what you need and what you want. I'm shocked where she's kind of being thrown into at the moment. However, it is what it is. More TV time for her will just uplift the whole division. I didn't expect it to be kind of the way she was thrown into that mix of things. I was literally, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I was just like waiting. I'm waiting, like, whose music's going to hit? Whose music's going to hit? Who's it? Yes. Gonna be? No. And I was like waiting, just hoping for someone's music to hit, but sadly nothing happened. But top to bottom, man, I think this was a great place card with the matches, and really, delivered for a hot crowd in Toronto.
And it was a hot crowd. I wanted to bring that as a point too. I'm glad you brought that up. I love it when there is a hot crowd. I mean, you can hear the pops, you can hear the chants. They were really into most of these matches. There were a couple moments where I think they were tired. Maybe I know how it is. I mean, shoot, there are times where I've lost my voice. I know Crayfish the same way. We're almost lost my voice before the actual card started, just during the Ring of Honor stuff. And it's just really cool to see how into it they were. I mean, obviously, Adam Copeland coming out dressed in the Toronto, the Toronto Maple Leafs outfit.
Great
colors. Great
the gear was fantastic.
Well, I definitely want to talk about that because there were so many cool spots. There was even a spot I think was specifically done just for Full Tilt Deb. But going back to your Mercedes Moné, I was with you because I was wanting to hear whose music was going to come out and either challenge her, or then when the lights went out and it was Julia and Sky Blue, I was wanting to see who was going to come to her rescue. And I thought we were actually going to hear. No, not that one. Wrong
that
button.
Would be pretty shocking if you heard that.
That would be shocking. Now that would have been a shock. That would have blown everybody's mind.
Right.
I was hoping to hear this.
The doctor will see you now.
Yep, that's right.
So I'm wondering if that's something down the line. I am not mad at the way that they're bringing Mercedes in. They're acknowledging her past. They're acknowledging Willow, and I like that they aired that video package because it reminded people that knew, and it showed people that aren't familiar that it was Willow who took her out, who injured her leg, and so there is that history, and so there is that potential now for a feud. Now, it looked like Mercedes was going to feud with Julia, and I was kind of rolling my eyes thinking, oh, is she just going to take the TBS title and just I think it's too soon for Mercedes to get a title. Let's let her have some feuds. But it sounds like she's now pivoting a little bit and focusing that it looks like she might be much more involved in the Statlander Willow feud. And we'll talk about that match from Rampage just to touch on it. We might not have time to get to it, but I just want to touch on we've been seeing how Stokely has been trying to turn Statlander heel. We saw in this opening
seems that way, that's for sure.
We saw in this opening segment that Willow was contemplating hitting Mercedes in the back with a chair, and then she quickly dropped it. So something's going on. I'm not sure the direction that they're going. It could be a situation where Statlander attacks Mercedes, then throws the chair and tosses the chair to Willow.
Okay.
And set something up. So something's going on with this thing. Stokely's involved. I'm compelled. It's compelling, but I also think it's great. And it also gives Julia and Sky Blue a chance to really shine. By the way, Sky Blue has officially earned my respect after that last night. That match. She did the Blue Thunder or whatever the Blue Butt Cheeks Bomb or whatever she calls it onto the announce table. That was tremendous. Both of them were tremendous. All of them were tremendous. Ladies did at that, but I'm really glad that they're making use of Mercedes. We got to see her enough more than just a one-off last night, and that she's already involved in the storyline.
Yeah, depth is key and always has been key. And as I mentioned last week, I think the AEW women's division and, a challenge, anyone to challenge that is deeper than it's ever been. You could even elevate it more, obviously, as we continue to talk about other, the DMD hater and others, focus more with D, but even, however, it's a great time from what we saw 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where some of the champs were kind of struggling for certain feuds, unfortunately. And it just seems like endless amounts at the moment right now. So it's a lot of fun. So I'm with you though. I don't know where it's going to go. I do believe, and I don't think Mercedes definitely does not need a title right away. We'll talk about the Okada match next, but Okada is the first, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, is the first AEW new signee to get gold in that amount of short of time.
It definitely, out of the new signees, especially the ones from New Japan, he is the first one to get it so quickly. And I think it's smart. And you sent earlier the breakdown that was from one of that Tony Khan is now explaining how the Continental Breakfast Champion's going to go, and I think that's good. I think you and I both feel the same way. We're relieved that it's going to be its own title and it's not going to be this convoluted thing. But I also feel like I felt like that needed to be explained earlier. But you're right. I think it's good. I think that's the trick. You do want to have. And again, I just got saying I hate when they bring somebody in and immediately put them in a title picture. But Okada's the storyline, I think it fits. Eddie's not completely stripped of all the titles, and this is one of those things where it's with it fits with him as well as the Bucks. I think this was the right choice. Plus the Continental Breakfast title, it gives a chance to introduce Okada to the masses, where most wrestling fans are very familiar with Mercedes Moné. They may know her as Sasha Banks. not a whole lot of American fans may know Okada as much as the diehards.
You're absolutely right.
Where he was in New Japan, he was essentially their Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair combined. Where here he's this new guy, and I've had to explain to some of my non-New Japan fan friends that who he is, and now they're starting to see it. And what a match! What did you think of this match with him and Eddie Kingston?
I mean, this is what makes us love Eddie Kingston is just his passion and his brutal strikes. He's a striker, and you have someone like Okada who's just took it hit after hit after hit, and Okada is an overall wrestler. He's a professional wrestler. Kingston is a brawler and a striker, and you saw them go back and forth. I'm excited for. I'm glad this was kind of like a stepping stone in the next direction, but I'm way more excited to see him versus Pac. Way more excited. No knock on Eddie, but you nailed it on the head. I think this is the absolute right decision, especially the pairing with the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas. He can't afford any losses this early. If you're going to have these elite EVPs start running the show and taking over, they need to win the tag title tournament. Yep. And they need to win this. They're all going to have gold. And I think it's going to work so well because it works so well when you have the top guys being these freaking weasels that you just want to,
You're
can't
EVPs,
stand.
SPD. Watch your language here. You do not besmirch Matthew and Nicholas on this podcast.
As many may say they're weasels, I think they're an absolute gods of pro wrestling. The EVPs are doing some fantastic stuff. The parts where they were shown backstage calling the match and marking
that was
out
great.
And stuff, so great. And I want more of that stuff as they've been showing us over the last few months. I want some more backstage stuff. I want them to start finding people, issuing, citations, just doing like their most ridiculous stuff. And I just want
making Alex Marvez feel like crap, Yeah.
Yeah. But match wise, yes. Yeah. I want to see more. I hope this is a stepping stone for us to see Okada kind of have that Ospreay spotlight. And so I know Ospreay's only had 2 matches in AEW. He's having another one next week, and then he's going to have the match of the year, topping Takeshita, in my opinion, versus Danielson. But I want to see Okada be able to have that kind of rub, that Ospreay rub of, being one of the best in the world and being able to showcase that and have banger after banger after banger. And so I'm waiting for it. I'm salivating for it and waiting for it. And I think it can happen. And I hope this is the stepping stone for it to happen.
Yeah. I think everything happened the way it should have happened. As my armchair booker I was very well satisfied with the outcome of this whole thing.
Yeah.
With the direction that Okada's going. I think take this one belt off of Eddie. I think it's time for Eddie to go to Ring of Honor and spend more time elevating Ring of Honor. Because
sure. I think that's a good idea.
Athena's getting tired holding it ROH on her back. Not that she is. Now, when I say that, I say it in jest. Because what Athena has done, she's raised the bar, but there's been so much talent at Ring of Honor that has stepped up to that. Billy Starks, Mercedes Martinez, the Dalton Castle Johnny TV feud is hilarious, and I highly recommend you check out Ring of Honor. But and Eddie has already put it out there at the next Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. It's going to be him versus Mark Briscoe. Will the House of Black be involved? We'll have to find out. But I think it's good now that he's starting to focus on Ring of Honor so that it can give more other talent some time here in AEW. Definitely when you wrestle Eddie Kingston, prepare for your chest to cave in.
Oh my gosh.
If wrestling ends up not working out for Eddie after a while, he can go work at a spa, and you don't need the Kelly Clarkson. You definitely could rip the hair off your chest. But yes, we have the new Continental Champion Okada and the Rainmaker, and I thought that was the right outcome. I popped when Pac came out. Of course, Pac only wears his trunks. I don't think he owns any other piece of clothing. Why bother? Why bother wearing when you're going to wrestle anytime? Newcastle and
100% right. I mean, Pac was ready for business, and I honestly if you book. TK is known for giving us pay-per-view matches on free TV. And we thank you, Tony Khan, for doing that, giving us free pay-per-view matches on TV, which we're getting time and time again, and just giving the people what they want. We appreciate that so much. However, I want this to build up. I want Okada to have a match. I want Pac to have a match. And then they both kind of are just like haunting each other in a little bit, kind of what we're seeing the Ospreay Danielson build.
Yeah.
And I think this deserves that Ospreay Danielson build. And to me, if those two matches are booked on the card, I mean, I already said it last week. Ospreay versus Danielson is worth every penny of your. That could be the whole pay per view, and I'd be happy with it. Yeah. But if you should, and I think it's necessary. You book the Pac Okada match for the pay per view just to really, really, really strengthen the card. Not that it really needs much more, but it's hard to predict what we're going to see. I think I haven't really thought of Dynasty. Maybe we'll get Swerve versus. I don't know. I don't want it that yet because I want Swerve to win. I think Double or Nothing is a good opportunity for that. We could get a Thunder Rosa Tony Storm, or we can get a Deonna Purrazzo Tony Storm rematch, and then that builds to Tony versus Thunder at Double or Nothing.
Actually, what I think they're doing, if we can talk about this tag team match I thought was fantastic. For one, too, I feel like Mercedes' presence is indicative, and who knows what she has backstage, but I really feel like Tony is showcasing the A players in the women's division, and we saw this here. Now, Deonna Purrazzo is much more of a grappler, submission specialist, but we saw Tony Storm, Ryan May, the four women right there are four of the best in the women's division currently right now, and I think there was an interesting interaction between Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa, where Thunder took the tag and took the pin, and Deonna wasn't happy about that.
Right,
or she got the thing, and she got the victory. Thunder Rosa got the victory. I think we might be seeing we might actually see Deonna as she's trying to earn back her title shot. I think what we're going to see first, before Thunder or Deonna get a chance, we're going to see possibly Deonna turning on Thunder, or Thunder turning on Deonna, or something. I think we might see at Dynasty, we might see Thunder versus Deonna.
Okay. I support that because, when this pairing was announced, I was like, and we've seen the Thunder Fire promos as of late, which have been really fantastic. And a heel Thunder is one of those that can go both ways, that it does absolutely delivers a fantastic outcome either way. But when we saw that kind of headbutting, turmoil-ish stuff in the tag match, which you often get in new teams, I was like, okay, I'm invested even more. I'm ready for this. So I'm glad that they're hinting and revisiting that whole storyline where Thunder never lost the belt. She never lost the belt. It's been months and months and months that she's never lost the belt, never had a rematch, never had a chance. And so the belt's changed hand a handful of times since then. But she never got a chance. So I hope that now that she's back full time and doing all this, that it's going to be her time to regain that belt, because, as great as Tony has been, I definitely thought Deonna could dethrone her, but now it's like Thunder getting thrown in that picture. I think it works great. And then if you're not going to throw the DMD in the picture with Mercedes, then no better time than the healthy and gold wearing Thunder.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know. I think there's so many directions you can go. I do think I hope we get Britt back. I know when Jamie Hayter comes back, it's going to be, the whole roster. It's going to shake everything up. But I think you're right. I love that the announcers took the time to remind us that Thunder never lost the belt. So that's definitely putting it there. I think Thunder being the surprise tag team partner for Deonna that's elevating Thunder into the title picture storyline wise, which she should be, because of what they said. And so and I agree with Brent. I think what they'll do is they'll do a Deonna versus Thunder and qualifying, and whoever wins gets the title shot at Dynasty. And that's when you're going to see whether or not Thunder turns heel
Okay,
or
good
if
point.
Deanna turns heel. So I think one of them will.
Well, she's
turn
already
heel.
heel, but really
Yeah,
leans into it.
I think one of them's going to lean into being heel, and that's what we'll see. And it's interesting too because Tony Storm can still be heel and be a popular heel and be liked.
Right.
That's one of the things. Like she's kind of like a Moxley, or her character is so popular that she's more. I think she's more popular being obnoxious and almost being a heel. Like DMD. The worst thing they could do for DMD was turn her baby face, because she's such a like that.
Yeah.
And I think this is smart booking. I felt really good about the whole, like both the Eddie Kingston Okada, the women's tag team. I felt like a lot of the decisions here, I'm feeling like there's somebody at the helm. I felt great about this match.
You're right. And absolutely. And this is one of those, Mariah May has been booked very well. She's undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Thunder Rosa's return has been booked very well. I believe she's undefeated as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting the stronger, I hate to even call like division within the division, but you're getting the stronger feuds, in my opinion, over there. But there is like, comparing apples to oranges. It's, like, what kind of preference of match do you have, or what kind of characters do you like better? And so you're getting them intertwined differently. It's like liking an Eddie Kingston versus a Pac, or whatever, or Ray Phoenix. Yeah. So I really am all for of what's being intertwined with the two main branches of the women's division right now. I think it's really shining through bright.
Absolutely. Now, don't get us wrong, everybody. We are positive coverage of AEW. It doesn't mean we're naive. We're not blind. There are some quirks, and there's things pet peeves that get on our nerves, and AEW is not perfect. And I have a hot take coming up that definitely illustrates some things I think that need to be addressed in AEW. So we'll get to that in just a little bit.
We'll talk about this before the hot take, but I want to talk about our guy Swerve. Whose house?
Swerve's house. What?
Man, this guy has been on absolute fire as of late, and I love the incorporation of the chain that's around his neck. This guy is just delivering on every this guy is delivering on every level. Love everything that he's doing. He's man, as we say time and time again, we're beating a broken record here, is next champ. Got to be the next champ. This guy is delivering every way possible. So fun to watch. So great to see his growth every single week. And he's just going to deliver another banger after banger after banger. And to go toe-to-toe with Takeshita, wow, it's going to be a pretty intense match there.
I loved everything about this. Everything from Nana in the back swerving. Well, I love the contrast too, because Swerve's so serious, and then you got Nana going, "Yeah, you better listen to my good friend." And then he's also doing the swerve and stuff. Samoa Joe coming out, you love to see it. You love to hear the pop. You love to hear all that stuff. Don Callis. Don Callis came to Toronto. I don't know how he could hear himself think with the amount of boos that were just so echoing. Great. I think they could hear the boos all the way to Southern California from there. It was so loud. He is so hated, and he's such a great heel manager because he like, you could tell he was just eating it up. They're screaming boo, and he's cutting this promo, and I think it's interesting what he's doing with the Don Callis family. It's like, I was almost going to say it seems like the Don Callis family are in a holding pattern.
Okay.
But I thought it was great to see Takeshita come out, and we're getting Takeshita, the match we're getting, and I love that we're really just like what I love that they're doing is they're presenting new talent, or talent that we've seen in a lower tier, if you will, they're presenting them as potential champions. And now we're getting Takeshita in the championship picture as well.
I'm working just outside of Buffalo, and I think I heard some boos last night too while I was watching this. So I thought I heard something from there. But man, week in and week out, anytime Callis is on the mic, the crowd got to give it to the props to them. Man. They really make this guy one of the most hated villains on all of television. So it's really great stuff. The Samoa Joe, man, as much as we love Swerve, which we absolutely love Swerve, and we really want him to have gold, and he deserves it, Samoa Joe delivers some of the best promos week in and week out. His verbiage and his just, coolness and swagger that he does. It's something that is needed and just so great with the title around his shoulder every single time. I love it. I don't want it to end. I really don't want his title run to end. However, like it's one of those stars like Swerve. It's like you got to strike while the iron's hot. You know, you really have to. And I think it needs to happen sooner than later. And it's one of those, like, to me, if not now, wins. The same thing that they do like with Wardlow. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out at the moment. But I want to see a few more matches with Samoa Joe. I want to see a few more promos, kind of warm-up matches, or not warm-up matches, but just overall matches. It doesn't have to be with top guys, or the ones next in line. But what do you think of his last few weeks, Samoa Joe as a champ, when he's come out to confront Swerve?
I think he's done well. I mean, I don't see any flaws. I think he's doing a good job planting the seed, though, that Swerve could be the one to take the title away. We saw that when they're in their tag team match, when he really seemed almost like he was selling the potential of losing the title to Swerve tremendously. I like that the chain is reminding people that what he did to Hangman.
Right.
And I like a lot of the stuff. I'm trying to remember there was a line that Swerve had last night that was great, and I can't remember what it was, but it was a really good line. But Swerve has really improved, gotten great on the mic. He's a spectacle to see. I think we've said this a million times on the show. Samoa Joe has been a great champion because he's really made it as a solid, intimidating final boss type wrestler. I like him coming out in the suit. It really makes it prestigious.
Yep.
But I think it's time. I think it is time for Swerve to become champion, so that we can then eventually build up to All In Wembley, Swerve versus Ospreay for the title.
Yeah, and bruv, I just recently listened to the Talk Is Jericho podcast with Ospreay. If you have not listened to it, I highly endorse it. Jericho, as always, delivers some great interviews. But Ospreay, man, if I couldn't like him more, I do like him more, which is hard to believe, because what he had delivered on the podcast with Jericho, and just his passion, his love, his excitement, not only for wrestling, but for AEW, and his appreciation, his gratitude, all the above. It's so easy to like him and love him and root for him and be in his corner. And he mentions some of those. He mentions in the podcast about wanting to wrestle Danielson at the top of the list. This is before the match was announced. Swerve as well. And so him and Swerve growing up together, and not growing, in the business together, and where they're at now. So I think that would kind of be a very full circle-esque type of thing. So let's book it, man. I would, Wembley, you're going to, if you could do Ospreay versus Swerve with the title on the line, fantastic.
I'd love to see. I want to see Ospreay versus Pac. I want to see Ospreay versus Kenny again when he comes back.
Yeah,
there's so much, but I think Ospreay versus Swerve at Wembley would be phenomenal.
You're right.
That as a main event, that would be like the things that Ospreay can do, and then the things that Swerve can do.
Yeah.
And the two of them together, I think, would put on a masterpiece. I think that would be tremendous.
Well, as mentioned last week,
yep,
we're gonna pick our fantasy book, our all-in cards after Dynasty. So we're gonna pick we'll pick 8 matches that we think could potentially be on the card, just for fun, and just another little segment that we're gonna do at Dynamite Download. But that was one of those things. It's hard to believe. Well, I guess it is and it isn't, because of all the years Danielson spent in WWE. But it's hard to believe that Ospreay and Danielson have never wrestled each other ever. And so this will be the first time ever. So it's like two that are highly considered the best in the world. We're going to finally go toe to toe. And it would be great to book that as the main event of the pay-per-view.
Yep.
Even if there are title matches on the card, which, last pay-per-view with Sting's last match wasn't a world title match or world title main event. I think if you just talk as pure wrestling fans, like, no one's going to be able to top that match. So it's almost it handicaps the rest of the card if you don't put that as the main event. And I think would just give a standing ovation. Everyone, no matter the outcome, would just leave like very, very happy.
I think that'd be tremendous. I think it'd be awesome. Looking forward to it. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, like, there's so many more positives that anytime I feel disappointed in something, it's such a minor thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the Jericho Hook thing is. As much as I like Hook, I'm glad it's giving him. I think if you just strip it away to its core, it's Jericho elevating Hook, and I'm all for that.
Okay, I'm all for that too.
I'm just not sure that's just one storyline. I'm not sure where they're going. Jericho will look like he was really struggling in the ring against Hook, and I don't know if he was selling for him, or in some cases it looked like he was sandbagging him a little bit, but I don't think he was. I don't know. That was probably the only match I'd say last night that was a bit hard to watch.
Yeah, I don't,
and I've got mad love for both.
I appreciate what Jericho does for being so selfless.
Yes.
That being said,
he gets a bad rap.
You are the former champ. You are the top guy or a top guy in AEW. So you should still be treated like that no matter what point of level you are at your career. Losing to Action Andretti, then nothing happening of it, and then now losing to Hook. You at one point you got to kind of draw the line. Like, you can still elevate someone and win. Yes. What Samoa Joe did to Hook, he elevated him, but he also whooped his ass.
Yes,
and won.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen time and time again. We talked about last Dynamite. There's a number of matches we've had recently where the loser still looked tremendous. They still got a lot of good offense in.
Right.
And this was one where I felt like, and now this was one where Hook was beating the crap out of Jericho, and then it just, like, I would have liked to have seen much more of a back and forth. Here's the thing, Jericho could have still lost the same way at the end, but I would have liked to have seen a lot more. I would have liked to have seen Hook really struggle to get the win.
Okay.
And it just happened to be one of those moments. Now, granted, his chicken legs were a little bit hard to get into the walls of Jericho. The line
piece of dry spaghetti.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But again, like you said, and Jericho gets a real bad rap. I think a lot of times he's the opposite of what a lot of his detractors try to say. He's very compassionate about, and it comes from his time in the business. He's had to really endure a lot of crap when he was coming up. So he made it, one of his big passions is elevating people. And I think a lot of people don't buy that he's trying to, what he's actually doing by having a Mimosa Mayhem match with Orange Cassidy, or having, the things he did with Sammy, ditch the panda and do this. He's trying to elevate these folks. And I think people are misreading him on where he actually is genuinely compassionate for these folks. But that particular match wasn't his best, but it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do going forward.
You're right. You're right, man. Mine, I'm getting hot. I actually have to take the sweatshirt off.
Yeah.
So time for a hot take?
It's time for a hot take. Have you seen these wrestlers? AEW has come under a lot of criticism in the past since its beginning. Some of it justified, Some of it, not so much. Some of it, just a bunch of raving lunatics. While AEW has many strengths, and one of them being how protective they are of their talent, especially when it comes to illnesses and injuries, one of their apparent challenges that they still to this day seem to struggle with is communication. We saw some of this rear its ugly head with the whole CM Punk backstage incidents, both Muffingate as well as the brawl in from All In, Crimea River, Jack Perry. But that brings me to one of my major points. While I respect Tony Khan being protective of his talent and not wanting to feed the dirt sheets or not wanting to get rumors perpetuated, there are certain storyline elements that need a little more explanation for the fans to keep us from speculating. For example, many of us question why, after defeating FTR so decisively, that the Blackpool Combat Club was absent from the tag team tournament. John Moxley especially would have been dominant and would have been happy to cut a quick promo explaining any reason why he's in the tournament. And there's so many people out there speculating on why. How many of them know the truth? It wouldn't have taken Moxley much time at all to cut a quick promo saying, hey, I tweaked my knee a little bit, or hey, we proved something and we'll just wait for the winner and we'll take them out or something. And it's not that Moxley's taking a break from wrestling. He's going to be wrestling a lot of independent dates. So there should have been some sort of explanation why they're not in it. Then we get to Jack Perry. Jack Perry shows up at New Japan, tears up his AEW contract. What's going on with that whole situation? Why are we left to speculate what Jack Perry's status is and how that fits into not only New Japan, but the inevitable upcoming Forbidden Door? Are we going to see Jack Perry at Forbidden Door? There needs to be at least some kind of update to the fans. And I know there's legal matters a lot of times, but storyline, you could at least come up with something that's a good cover story. And then we get to Britt Baker. What are we doing? She doesn't seem to be injured. She seems to be showing up a lot of places on social media. She seems to be constantly reminding us of her presence in her past victories. And again, this is somebody that even when she was injured, she was a role model. So why did she just disappear all of a sudden from our TVs with no explanation? Especially now where she could fit perfectly into a feud with Mercedes Moné. Maybe they're holding off. Maybe they're waiting for Jamie Hayter to come back. But there needs to be some storyline reason why we're not seeing the DMD on TV. Miro's another one. And I know Miro, there's probably some back and forth, but to find out that not only he's in Bulgaria, but then his cryptic tweet about, hey, he had a knee injury, he would think that Tony Khan knew about it. That seemed a little bit off, and that goes back to that miscommunication that we talked about before. And finally, this bitch. Where the flub is Paige Van Sant? She had one match, and she has been like a virus on the AEW roster, taking up spaces that should belong to Janaya Kai, Jordan Blade, or a number of other rising stars in the independent scene. And she doesn't even seem interested in AEW in the slightest. She seems to be content with her OnlyFans and Instagram showing her butthole. As a fan, please give us something. Give us something of why we don't see Keith Lee. Give us something of why certain things are going on. And not just a, hey, I haven't heard from him. There needs to be some storyline. Of course, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Whoo, that was a hot take.
I had to turn up the AC, take off the sweatshirt, even though it's freezing up here in northern New York where I'm working right now. But a lot to digest there, and not to dive too deep into that because we still need to save some time for the main event. But a lot of points that are very important there, and it's sad and frustrating as fans when you have those, let's say, superstars, top talent, fan favorites that are not being booked when you want them to. You know, we're the outside looking in. We don't know what's going on with anything, with physically, mentally, internally, relationshipy, whatever it may be. So it is frustrating for that. However, on the other side, it's like they don't, even though they are in the public eye, no one is required to give us an explanation. The freedom that AEW gives their talent is outstanding and great, whether it be to do other work, speak freely online and things like that to an extent. But it is frustrating, but you're going to run into that no matter what. And we're going to continue to run into that with the depth of this roster, period.
I agree with you 1,000%. And I probably should have included in the hot take a distinction between protecting the actual. I don't think we're owed an actual explanation what's really going on. Whether it's an injury, whether it's like some kind of respiratory thing, Bulgaria, you're divorcing your wife, whatever it is. What storyline? If you look at regular TV shows like series, whenever an actor is going to leave the show, they usually write them off. Whether they write them off as a death or they write them off as some reason why they're leaving the show, possibly return. Walking Dead does that. A lot of the major popular TV shows, when an actor leaves a series, they're written off in some way. That's all I think I'm really asking for as a fan is have some kind of storyline, especially when you have the likes of Moxley and Britt Baker still in the public eye, still very much a part of AEW, and we're just not really getting any reason why they're not in certain spots. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. I can respect that for sure. I guess to kind of piggyback on that, do you think we will see a sort of hiatus written off portion with what we saw in the main event with our father, Christian Cage?
I don't know. Honestly, I think we're still going to see Christian a little bit more. He may take some time off.
I hope not. He's gold. He's needed every week.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that obviously first Christian's going to need some operation on his nether regions.
Oh my gosh.
And I will stand corrected. I really thought we were going to hear him do the gimmick that they did with The Rock and Mankind, where you heard the recording of Adam Copeland's I Quit voice. I think what we're going to see is we're going to start to see Christian Cage try to make amends with Adam Copeland. I'd love to see the Cope Open. I think that's what we need for a few weeks is Cope Open, kind of doing what Cody did with the TNT title and bringing in like Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston. But I think we're going to eventually see Christian Cage reemerge and be apologetic, but be one of those like Adam's not buying it. Is he truly remorseful? And you and I will all know he's not, but like Christian now is going to propose that he and Adam one more time go for the tag team titles and, be the tag team that they were for their, when they all for all the tag team that they meant to be. And I think that's the next storyline. Is Christian's going to propose that?
I feel like I would love that. However, I feel like they've squeezed all the juice out of these two for the time being, head to head. For the time being, you can revisit it down the line. And I really want Christian to have some kind of transitional feud and turtleneck wearing father feud, because the guy is absolutely killing it right now. He's on top of his game, turtleneck and all. He is doing some fantastic stuff. I love the Christian Cage saga that we're getting every time. And so I really hope that he is featured more. And, I wouldn't be against a trios run. I wouldn't be against anything really.
Mm-hmm.
But as a extreme babyface, feel good story person, the resident babyface, obviously.
Yeah.
I would love for those two to reunite and go on a tag team run. I would love that more than anything.
Yeah.
However, the way that Christian Cage has been as a heel is something that is needed and absolutely impressive, and loving every second of it. And I don't want anything else than that.
I don't either. And we mentioned our Don Callis, the family of the the father of the Don Callis family. Christian Cage is the only other person in AEW that gets the reaction anywhere close to Callis. And I almost think sometimes it's very close. Like, tell us in the chat, who do you think is a bigger heel, who gets more of a reaction from the crowd, Don Callis or Christian Cage? Now, last night, judging by last night alone, I'd say Don Callis had the best heel reaction.
For sure, absolutely.
But I felt like with Christian has had those deafening boos, especially when he does the father, talking about dead fathers and stuff. So I don't know. And it was interesting to see Garcia and Daddy Magic get involved. So I think there's more. You've got Kill Switch. You still even have the Kill Switch eventual face turn, going back to Luchasaurus or losing the mask. Are we going to see a Kill Switch demasking at some point?
Interesting.
I don't know. I think there's a lot to go, but there was so much good in this match. The chance for TLC when they got the ladders out first, then they got the tables, and of course the chairs. The barbed wire wrapped chair was tremendous.
The upside down ladder, the you sick chance.
Yeah, you sick ducks.
Yeah.
You sick ducks. Whack whack. There was a spot that I got to bring up that was just brilliant. It was. Some people say it was for the Toronto fans, but I think it was specifically for Full Tilt Deb, and that's when they ended up in the penalty box, because that is where the Maple Leafs play, and somebody had obviously a plant, but somebody had a Bruins jersey, and somebody else had a Maple Leafs jersey, and so Adam grabs the Bruins jersey, pulls it off the fan, and puts it on Christian. And then he grabs the Maple Leafs jersey and puts the jersey on, and they have an authentic hockey fight. It just like in Blades of Steel on Nintendo, it was the dish, 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 including the spot where Adam pulls the jersey over Christian and starts. That was chef's kiss. I mean, there were so many other great spots, but to me, that was one of the highlights. That popped me and Deb so hard last night. That was tremendous.
I have to agree. I mean, as a hockey player, and I still play hockey, playing college hockey, spending lots of my time in the penalty box, and my fair share of hockey fights, might I add, it was definitely one of those mark out moments of the night for sure. I've done that to people, jersey over the head. I still play hockey every Monday night. It's not like it was in college. It's a men's beer league. But as a huge hockey fan, I was watching my team, Detroit, beat the Islanders just tonight as well. I loved it. I loved everything about the jersey part, even though as a Detroit fan, I hate Toronto, and I do not like Boston either. So I would prefer Toronto over Boston anytime. That being said, who's Deb's team? Chicago? Or no, that's
the Blackhawks, big time. Her entrance music is Chelsea Dagger.
Okay, so I don't know if I'd have to talk to FTD if she is happy for us or pissed off at Kane joining the Detroit Red Wings.
But she doesn't like the Kane. She does not like that Kane is with the Red Wings.
He scored another goal tonight for us. We love Showtime.
Kane is one of her favorites. So
yeah, Kane's a great guy. USA-born, awesome player. That being said, I love the incorporation of all the hockey stuff, the stick, the net, the penalty box, the jerseys, Adam Copeland's gear. Even though, like I said, not a Maple Leafs fan, I love the gear. I love the gear and the corporation with that. Fantastic. As soon as I saw his gear, I was like, he's not losing no matter what. He's not losing. Like, you always pull out the extra special gear when it's like your night. and that was it. And hometown, and TK does, as we've said, give the people what he wants in the hometown. But this match being back and forth, very brutal, a lot of great high spots, a lot of interesting booking at the end. Very interesting with the handcuffs.
Yeah.
Personally, an I Quit match is not my favorite gimmick match. I don't know. I've never really been one for an I Quit match personally. However, it worked really well. I would have been happier if it didn't get flooded with other people.
Yeah, mixed feeling about the handcuffs, right?
Well, the handcuff part I think was very clever. You could have executed the handcuffs without the patriarchy and without Garcia and Daddy Magic, in my opinion. But yes, that adds to storytelling. He got the high spot off the ladder into all of them and other spots like that. But for a title match and that big of stakes, I felt like it should have been left out there. Yes, Mama Wayne, that part I guess I could have let go. But when you have 6 guys in the ring and then you finally win, it's like, I don't know. That's my only gripe. I'm happy for it. I love it, and I hope we get the Cope Open because that's why I picked him for my second overall pick, because I see big things. I think we're going to see that, as you mentioned, the Cody Rogue-esque style TNT run.
Tremendous.
Often we see people win titles in AEW, and then they kind of step away from defending them frequently or in the match in the ring frequently. And I don't think this will be the case, and I think this will be one of those fighting titles.
Adam Copeland is very much like Will Ospreay. He's like a kid in a candy store, and he's not a kid at the Willy Wonka experience in Scotland. He's a kid in an actual candy store. He's so thrilled and happy to be where he's at and in the position he is in. He's another one of those that wants to elevate the younger talent. I could see Garcia, be having a feud with him, or having a not necessarily a feud, but a challenge for the TNT title. I'd love to see Adam Copeland do that, bring out some of the younger talent, not just on the roster, but like start bringing in some of these indie talents. I mean, imagine Adam Copeland versus Speedball Mike Bailey, or imagine Adam Copeland versus like Blake Christian, who's on the roster. He's at a little tier 0, but you could have some of these younger talents. Even Jack Cartwheel, which I thought was a stooge until I saw him wrestle. I was like, the name Jack Cartwheel, guess what he does in the ring? Cartwheels. But he's a tremendous talent. And, personally, I think he should ditch the cartwheel and do something else. But there's so many things he can do now with the TNT. I really hope the Cope Open becomes kind of like that Cody thing from back in the day. I'd also love to see Lance Archer go after it. I'd love to see that as a chance. But the main event, just like the Raz says, it was perfectly constructed. Love this match. And everything last night was, I think, designed to push storylines in a direction beyond Dynasty. Because I think we're building not just for Dynasty. I think we really are building for Double or Nothing at this point.
Yeah, Dynasty being a new pay-per-view for this year, it's one of those, you do have to have it make it be stepping stone to your core pay-per-view, a Double or Nothing. That is a good point for that. And so I think you'll see those big matches, nothing bigger than Danielson Ospreay, in my opinion. But you'll see those big matches, but they will just be setting up for the bigger story at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Tremendous night. Just really quickly, Rampage was great. The ladies came out, as I said earlier. Kudos to all 4 of the ladies in the street fight. I thought that was tremendous. The Rampage card was great. Takeshita is great. Dynamite on Wednesday coming up.
All I gotta say is, wow.
How much do we have to pay for this?
Wow. I mean, please don't even book other matches. Give each match 25 minutes. You can throw in a women's match, but I would be happy with a 4-match Dynamite.
I thought that
give us the time.
Book a woman. Let's book. Have Sky Blue versus have maybe Mercedes Moné's debut match.
Yeah,
versus-
Mercedes. If you put Mercedes on this card, this is a junior pay-per-view.
Right, exactly. Mercedes versus Sky Blue. Book it.
There you go.
Because then you've got so much storyline to go
There
off
you go.
of that. Come on, Tony Khan, book it, and have Tony Storm do some kind of exactly. Book it, Tony. Have Tony Storm do some kind of vignette about Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo, and you've got yourself A+ programming.
That is right. We're going to end on that note because that is a high note for sure. Excited stuff. Unfortunately, we're going to have a lonely Friday night, a lonely Saturday night, but we're going to be back at it Wednesday night.
Yes.
We'll be back here for episode 120 for Dynamite Download, breaking it down of a free junior pay-per-view card that we're going to get next week on Dynamite. I can't wait for some of SPD's favorites in the ring as well. So you guys, thanks for joining in the chat, both on X and on YouTube. We appreciate you all, and join us next week for the most up-to-date Season 2 rankings, as well as talking all things Dynamite. Have a great weekend and a safe weekend, folks. Appreciate y'all. Love
Thanks,
y'all.
everybody. Like, share, subscribe, touch our bells and buttons.
And your buttons, bustles.